Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Jonathan Kahn. I'm a lawyer at the Blake firm in Toronto, Canada, and I am serving this year as chair of the American Bar Association's Environment, Energy, and Resources Law section. And it is my pleasure to welcome you all to the American Bar Association SEER's awards ceremony. The section awards, we award them annually to individuals, entities, and organizations who have made significant accomplishments and demonstrated recognized leadership in the environment, energy, and resources law space. And so welcome to the ceremony. I'm going to turn things over very shortly to my immediate predecessor, Michelle Diffenderfer, who was the chair of SEER last year. All of the awards that we're awarding today were considered and approved during Michelle's year, so we thought it appropriate that she really kick things off. Michelle is a shareholder and president of Lewis, Longman and Walker in Palm Beach, Florida. She is a leading lawyer in the areas of environment, resources, and Native American resources law, and the immediate past chair of SEER. And with that, I will turn things over to you, Michelle.
Thank you very much, Jonathan, and welcome everyone. It is my pleasure to welcome everyone to the award ceremony this afternoon, evening, depending on where you are in the world, and to congratulate each of the award winners here. It's just outstanding to be able to recognize Earthjustice, Mr. Kevin Bromberg, Judge Nancy Firestone, the Acequia Assistance Project, the Firestone Symposium on Environmental Law, and the Boston Bar Association's Energy and Environmental Law section for their outstanding work in this past year. And I couldn't be more honored to be a part of this and to welcome and introduce you all to Robin Cundis-Craig, who is our MC this evening. Robin worked as the chair of our awards committee this past year and with her committee members to solicit nominations, review nominations, decide on the nominations, and then recommend those to the SEER Council for our action. And that all culminates in this evening's event where we get to recognize each of you and celebrate with you, your coworkers, your families here tonight. So thank you. And with that, Robin, you are next up on deck.
Well, thank you very much, Michelle and Jonathan. I want to join them in welcoming everybody to our awards ceremony. It was my great pleasure to be part of the process of sifting through the many nominees. And I would encourage everybody who is present to think about their nominees for next year, because we will be starting up again with this process in the spring. I will announce each award recipient in order, giving you a little bit of background on them and why they were chosen for the award. After I announce who won, each awardee will make a short acceptance speech. I also want to note at the beginning, there's an opportunity to congratulate the winners in breakout rooms at the end of all presentations. So with that, we will get going, and our first award is the ABA Award for Excellence in Environmental, Energy, and Resources Stewardship. The awards committee and SEER are pleased to present that award to Earthjustice. Since 1972, Earthjustice has been a leading nonprofit public interest environmental law firm in the United States, working to promote environmental stewardship. Nearly 200 Earthjustice attorneys serve as counsel to over 500 different public interest clients, free of charge, representing them in administrative actions, appeals, enforcement actions, on legislation, and in matters of policy. Today, Earthjustice maintains a particular focus on representing communities and people that bear the brunt of environmental harms, which are often communities of color, low-income communities, and tribal organizations. Over just this past year alone, Earthjustice has been involved in countless wins for the planet and its people, including standing with the community to protect Menominee tribal lands and the Great Lakes from mine development, fighting an asphalt plant near homes in Flint, Michigan on behalf of Flint Rising, the Environmental Transformation Movement of Flint, and the St. Francis Prayer Center, using Title VI to address racial differences in environmental outcomes, protecting farm workers from dangerous pesticides, driving meaningful and sustainable flood protection support for communities affected by the Yazoo pumps, representing the Standing Rock Sioux tribe in its fight to protect its homeland from the Dakota Access Pipeline, fighting on behalf of residents in part of Cancer Alley as they countered a petrochemical complex that would more than triple cancer-causing chemicals in their environment, generating a swarm of buzz with legal victories on behalf of beekeepers in California working to protect their hives from pesticides, securing a commitment from EPA to finalize an endangerment finding to finally get lead out of aviation fuel, standing firm in defense of national monuments, enforcing clean air, clean water, and waste laws on behalf of communities nationwide, blocking air gun surveys along the Atlantic coast that threaten the critically endangered northern Atlantic right whale, joining Alaska Native tribes in their successful defense of old-growth forest, representing community groups pushing for clean air energy transition in Puerto Rico, defending the right to livable communities in neighborhoods facing increasing pollution from shipping and e-commerce, and protecting through environmental enforcement local waterways and watersheds from the Anacostia River to the Puget Sound. I congratulate Abigail Dillon, President of Earthjustice, who will accept the award on behalf of Earthjustice and make up to 5 minutes in remarks. Welcome, Abigail.
Thank you so much, Robin. Thank you so much to everyone in the ABA and SEER in particular for taking the time to recognize our colleagues in this work that we do. Litigation and legal advocacy is an arena in which individuals can shine, but to have, we know it never is just one person, and to have our entire organization, our whole big team recognized is so deeply meaningful. This is certainly not my award. It goes to not only our 200 plus lawyers now, but everybody who works with them to make this kind of change possible. And, you know, I won't use up my whole 5 minutes because I know that there are other honorees who I'm very honored to be in their company. But what I will say to those who are participating, not only in honoring colleagues, but in the work that we do to shape the law together. For us at Earthjustice, it feels always like we're in a marathon that doesn't end at 26 miles. It always seems to begin anew. But the last 10 years, and I think the times that we'll experience going forward, feel different and kind to me after doing this work for 20 years. And I think it's because our environment is changing and the way that we're making and using energy is changing. And I think we will all be tested to shape the law in new ways so that we can advance justice together as we all encounter profoundly different circumstances, and so that we can look with clear eyes at the ways in which our laws are not advancing justice and are not up to the challenges we face now. And so I really honor, as someone who litigates less now than I once did, I honor the ways in which opposing counsel and judges and the whole system of people that we work with honor the law as a place where facts do matter and where we can come together and in contentious ways, but in civil ways and in orderly ways, work through conflict and keep advancing both the rule of law and a system of energy and environmental regulation that serves us as a society. So thank you for recognizing Earthjustice, the role that we play in the public interest. We're just so honored to receive this award, and I can't tell you what it means to our hard working team to receive this. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much for being here, Abigail, to receive the award, and congratulations again to Earthjustice. Our second award is for the Environment, Energy, and Natural Resources Government Attorney of the Year Award. And this year, the committee was pleased to present this to two individuals who have dedicated their careers to public service. The first recipient is Kevin Bromberg. Throughout his career, Kevin has worked in a variety of positions within the federal government, including the Environmental Protection Agency, the U.S. Consumer Product Safety Commission, and the U.S. Small Business Administration's Office of Advocacy. After nearly 40 years with the Office of Advocacy, where he served as the Assistant Chief Counsel for Environmental Policy, Kevin retired from federal service on January 3rd, 2020. Kevin dedicated most of his professional life to establishing responsible environmental policy for small business. He served 2 terms in the Office of Advocacy from 1979 to 1991 and from 1994 to 2020. Throughout his tenure, he reviewed federal regulations and legislation on environmental issues on behalf of small business. Bromberg founded the first regular meetings between advocacy and small business representatives, known as the Environmental Roundtable, in 1990. He's also the primary author of 3 petitions to the EPA for new rulemakings, all of which the EPA granted. Through his tenacity and expertise in environmental policy and regulation, Bromberg was successful in providing economic relief to small businesses consistent with strong and reasonable environmental protections. Prior to rejoining advocacy in 1994, Bromberg continued to advocate on behalf of small business in representing small business trade associations in regulatory matters dealing with the Environmental Protection Agency and the Occupational Safety and Health Administration. He was also counsel for the Small Business Coalition for a Responsible Toxic Release Inventory and an executive director of the Industry Coalition for a Workable Clean Air Program. Bromberg was with advocacy for the beginning of the panel process established in 1996 by the Small Business Regulatory Enforcement and Fairness Act. His contributions strengthened advocacy's role as an independent voice for small business in the federal government. As a result, agencies such as EPA are now required to convene a small business advocacy review panel to account for significant economic impacts to small entities under the Regulatory Flexibility Act. Throughout his career, Bromberg has been recognized for his excellence. One example was the award he received from the EPA in 2014 for excellence in OSWR partnerships. He was nominated by EPA's Underground Storage Tank Regulations team, and the EPA noted in giving this award that the benefits of working in true partnership with Kevin, and by extension the SBA Office of Advocacy, cannot be overstated. He provided wise counsel to assist in addressing small business concerns, and EPA's regulatory efforts has undoubtedly been enhanced by working in partnership with the SBA. In the SBA's announcement of Kevin's retirement, Acting Chief Counsel for Advocacy Major L. Clark III stated that Bromberg has dedicated his professional life to establishing responsible environmental policy for small businesses, and he has done so with a sense of urgency and compassion, concluding, "Job well done, Kevin." We could not agree more and congratulate Kevin Bromberg, who will accept his award and make up to 5 minutes of remarks.
Thanks very much, Robin, for that introduction. And Abigail, you reminded me of the times in the 70s when our office in the Office of Advocacy was in the same building as NRDC. And I used to visit in the early 80s, the water attorneys down there. And then we had a cooperative relationship back in the 80s. Those days are long gone, and we welcome them back. But we needed a different political climate for that to happen again. So I'm delighted to receive this award from SEER, along with Judge Nancy Firestone, which you'll hear more about later. As you heard, I began my career, made people chuckle at this. at EPA in 1977, even though my whole career it was centered on basically being an advocate for small businesses and opposing many of the EPA policies. But that is the nature of the job at the Office of Advocacy, is to represent responsible small business policy at EPA. And of course, we have counterparts elsewhere within the Office of Advocacy in all the other policy roles. So this award really is a testament to the Office of Advocacy, which some of you may have never heard of before, and its role within the federal government. The office was established in 1976 and plays a major role in developing regulations in concert with OIRA and other federal agencies. So being in this office gave me the opportunity to work with gifted chief counsels. There is a chief counsel that heads the Office of Advocacy within the Small Business Administration. So people like Jerry Glover and Tom Sullivan, gifted staff like Sean McGibbon, Charlie Maresca, Priyanka Sharma, Dave Rosker, and Tabby Zeb are the people who helped me get the job done at the SBA. If you don't already know this office, know that this office is a mini OIRA, and it can help you accomplish your regulatory goals at federal agencies. I also enjoyed working with innumerable staff at EPA, both at the lower level and higher management at EPA over 4 decades. I'm looking at you, Tom Kelly, when I say that. Though I'm sure that many of the people at EPA who I worked with were very relieved when I finally retired, because they didn't need to deal with me anymore. But my most cherished experiences were working with private sector advocates, including Jeff Longsworth, Jack Leiter, Jack Wagner, Christian Richter, Jane Luxton, Jonathan Gledhill, and Laura Scare. I apologize that I cannot name all my favorite colleagues in the 5 minutes we have here. My colleagues are world-class champions of small business and large business environmental issues, and taught me much of what I know today. While at Advocacy, I saw relief granted to small businesses as a result of the regulatory petitions over the last 3 decades. You too can file a regulatory petition at EPA and make it happen if you choose the issues correctly. Working on the small business regulatory enforcement fairness panels that you heard about from Robin showed me the power of early small business input into proposed rules at EPA. And I would say to to the Biden administration and future administrations, that if you want to improve federal rulemaking, the best thing you can do, and the cheapest thing you can do, is to have early and robust input from affected entities by providing robust information about the regulatory alternatives you're considering and their costs and benefits. And that I see as the future. So my award is based on resting on the shoulders of others and deciding that being persistent and strategic can yield success for small businesses. I also remember Nancy Firestone very fondly, and I'm very pleased that she's being recognized today. Thanks to the SEER section and all my colleagues who made this honor possible today. I look forward to seeing many of my colleagues in the chat room later. Thanks again.
Thank you, Kevin, and congratulations again. As Kevin mentioned, the second individual receiving the Environment, Energy, and Resources Government Attorney of the Year award is Judge Nancy B. Firestone. Unfortunately, Judge Firestone passed away in October of 2022, shortly after her award was finalized. So I'm going to give a brief review of her career in tribute to her service. Before becoming a judge, Judge Nancy Firestone rose to the senior ranks of both the Environmental Protection Agency and the Justice Department's Environment and Natural Resources Division. She graduated from Washington University with a BA in 1973 and received her JD in 1977 from the University of Missouri, Kansas City School of Law. From 1989 to 1992, she served as the Associate Deputy Administrator for the Environmental Protection Agency. From 1992 to 1995, she served as a judge on the Environmental Protection Agency's Environmental Appeals Board. From 1995 to 1998, Judge Firestone served as Deputy Assistant Attorney General in the Environment and Natural Resources Division of the U.S. Department of Justice. And on October 22, 1998, she was appointed a judge to the United States Court of Claims. Judge Firestone thus was for decades one of the federal government's most relevant and consequential environmental decision makers. In addition, she was a valued colleague, a mentor to her many law clerks and members of her staff, and a star leader. Judge Firestone's influence continues to extend beyond her legal advocacy on behalf of the United States and the opinions she has penned. Judge Firestone's quiet advice, leadership by example, and creation of a work environment where talent is fostered made a difference to generations of attorneys and environmental professionals. The ABA SEER Awards Committee was unanimous in wanting to pay tribute to Judge Firestone's service and achievement through this Government Attorney of the Year award. We somberly and gratefully honor her memory and her lifetime of service today. Let us observe a moment of silence in tribute to Judge Firestone. Thank you. Our next award is the Distinguished Achievement in Environmental Law and Policy, which I am pleased to present to the Acequia Assistance Project. The award for Distinguished Achievement in Environmental Law and Policy recognizes individuals or organizations who have distinguished themselves in environmental law and policy, contributing significant leadership in improving the substance, process, or understanding of environmental protection and sustainable development. I am pleased to recognize the Acequia Assistance Project as the recipient of the Distinguished Achievement Award. The Acequia Assistance Project is an environmental justice program at the University of Colorado Law School that provides no-cost or low-cost legal services and educational materials to Southern Colorado's Acequia-based Hispanic agricultural communities. For the last 10 years, law students, faculty, and pro bono attorneys have helped the traditional owners of these acequias get their water rights formally recognized in Colorado. The project's impetus was Colorado's 2009 Acequia Recognition Act, which remedied 120 years of excluding these water projects from Colorado's water law regime, and instead now allows the creation of acequia ditch corporations. The program was initiated by Colorado University law professor Sarah Krakoff, water attorney Peter Nichols, and Colorado Open Lands Sarah Palmer, and it provides Hispanic farmers with the full suite of legal services related to their water rights. I would now like to introduce Gregor McGregor, who will accept the award on behalf of the project and make up to 5 minutes of accepting remarks.
All right, thank you so much, and good afternoon, everyone. It's great to be here with the ABA leadership, my fellow awardees, and all of our friends who've come on, friends of the project. You know, I often say that I'm the project's chief gratitude officer, and that's certainly going to be true today. But before I thank the people who've contributed to the project's work, I do want to take a moment to recognize the history of acequias in Colorado and why the need for our project exists. You know, when the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo ended the Mexican-American War, it promised citizenship to the Hispano settlers of what is today New Mexico and Colorado. It also promised to respect the land and water rights of our newest communities, which are also some of our country's oldest now. These communities had established acequias, irrigation ditches, to sustain themselves in the high deserts and foothills of the Rocky Mountains. But more than irrigation structure, the acequias are a cultural touchstone for the communities that use them. Rather than distributing water in accordance with priority, money, or influence, the acequia communities come together to distribute water in equity for the good of the community and require the contribution of labor and service together. And while these institutions were respected, not without difficulty in New Mexico, the story was very different in Colorado. Once the state boundary had cut the Acequia community in two, between those in southern Colorado and those in New Mexico, Colorado's Hispano population was immediately embroiled in a conflict to make good on the promises of that treaty in ways that continue to today. Hispano legislators of the new territory were purposely excluded from meaningfully participating in the political process. And when the Centennial State's Constitution enshrined prior appropriation alone in the law, it foreclosed the possibility that Acequias could operate in accordance with their customs and culture, something that continued for 130 years. And that continued up until 2009, as Robin said, when an Acequia member and freshman state legislator, Edward V. Hill, introduced the Acequia Recognition Act, which allowed Acequias to finally be recognized under law, seek water rights decrees as Acequias, and take advantage of the myriad legal and business opportunities foreclosed to them over a century. And it was then that Professor Sarah Krakoff, CU alum and water attorney Peter Nichols, and conservationist Sarah Parmar started the project. By training students in water law, pairing them with pro bono supervising attorneys, and connecting them with clients, the project could bring the promise of recognition to life. And since 2012, both of our communities have been strengthened by the project. Acequia Parciantes use the law to take control of their future, and our students gain experience while fulfilling our professional obligation to serve the community. And I know personally just how important both of these aspects of the project are. My own family comes from southeastern Colorado, which is a region deeply impacted by the buy and dry of the 1980s and the challenges of the modern rural economy. And that's what motivated me to come to law school. And when I got here, the Acequia project was here. And first as a student, then a deputy director, supervising attorney, and now it's director. I know just how meaningful the project is to our students and our supervising attorneys, as well as the community, providing them with an opportunity to grow and right the wrongs of the past, which brings me to my role as Chief Gratitude Officer and probably the end of my 5 minutes. It's an incredible honor to accept the award on behalf of the hundreds of students, dozens of supervising attorneys, and many community partners who've advanced environmental justice for Colorado's Acequias over the past decade. It's without this selfless service from our students and our supervising attorneys that we are able to provide this service. My special thanks to Professor Sarah Krakoff, Peter Nichols, and Sarah Parmar for seeing this need and taking their time and effort to address it and launching the project at the school. A further thank you to alum Don Brown and the university's outreach office, whose generous funding allows us to support Colorado's Acequias and the professional growth of our students. And finally, my sincerest gratitude goes out to the Acequia members who continue to invite us to work and learn in their beautiful community. I know I speak for myself as well as the student deputy directors when I say that we are honored to continue the project's work on behalf of our partner community and our students. And thank you so much to the ABA, SEER, the awards committee for recognizing the work that we've done over the last decade.
Thank you, Gregor, and congratulations again to the project for a well-deserved award. Our next award is the Law Student Environment, Energy, and Resources Program of the Year Award. And I take special pleasure in awarding this award to students very near to me, although I will say, although I nominated them, the committee did a full vetting of many student programs. The Law Student Program Award is intended to recognize an outstanding student-organized educational or public service project from the past year. This year, the awards committee chose the Christopher Stone Symposium on Environmental Law, which was the 2022 annual symposium of the Southern California Law Review here at USC. The student-organized and student-run program was held on April 1st, 2022 at the USC Gould School of Law. It honored faculty member Christopher Stone, who passed away in May 2021. Stone was best known as the author of the seminal 1972 Law Review article, Should Trees Have Standing? Toward Legal Rights for Natural Objects, which helped to spark the rights of nature movement around the world. The program gathered notable speakers from across the country And the symposium's topics dealt with a wide range of issues in the context of Professor Stone's legacy, including climate change, environmental ethics, and the growing international movement toward legal recognition of the rights of wildlife and natural objects that Professor Stone first championed. The program will culminate in a symposium edition of the Southern California Law Review, which I'm told should be out soon. I am very pleased to have Mindy Vo, who was editor-in-chief of the Southern California Law Review during the symposium and its planning, accept this award on behalf of the Law Review. Congratulations, Mindy, and all of your co-editors.
Thank you so much, and good afternoon, everyone. I'm extremely grateful to have the honor and privilege of being here amongst very impressive recipients to accept this award on behalf of our journal, the Southern California Law Review, our team, and our school. I frankly cannot remember a time in which our Law Review has accepted an award from the ABA, so this is a very important moment for our community and our school. But first, I'd like to thank Professor Craig, who shepherded our symposium to its success. Without her guidance and her support, I cannot say we would be here today. And I'd also like to thank our former dean, Professor Rasmussen, for his support and a brilliant idea of using this as an opportunity to honor the legacy of Professor Stone and giving our students a very, very unique insight into the field of environmental law, inviting titans to come and speak, provide an opportunity for students to engage with professors. It was such a valuable opportunity that I know that our students at the law school really appreciated. And I just wanted to note that this was one of the first events that came out of the pandemic. So it was one of the first times our community came together. And of course, it could not have been done without our current Dean Guzman, and our school's administrative staff who help fly out our important speakers and put on this phenomenal event for not only our school, but the local community. We invited all sorts of students from undergrads who expressed an interest in environmental law to other professors of law school. So this symposium was really a product of our community coming together. And I'm extremely proud that this award reflects the success of our school, our journal, our students, and our wonderful professors, including Professor Craig. And I just want to make sure before I leave, I acknowledge the hard work of our symposium team of the 95th volume, which consisted of our managing editor, Sam Clark-Clow, and our articles editor, Brooke Coppell. They could not be here today, but I know that no one else was more proud than they were when we received the news. So thank you so much to the ABA for honoring us. And with that, I will pass the mic back to you, Professor Craig.
Thank you so much, Mindy, and congratulations again. Our last award of the afternoon or evening, depending on which time zone you're in, is the State or Local Bar Environment, Energy, and Resources Program of the Year Award for 2021-2022. The State or Local Bar Environment, Energy, and Resources Program of the Year Award recognizes the best continuing legal education program or public service project of the year focused on issues in the field of environmental, energy, or natural resources law. Nominees are usually state or local bar sections or committees that are focused on environment, energy, and natural resources issue. For 2022, the awards committee recognizes the outstanding and prolific environmental, natural resources, and energy law programming of the Boston Bar Association's Environment and Energy Law section. Co-chair Stacy Rubin of the Conservation Law Foundation and Dana Tench of the Massachusetts Department of Environmental Protection endeavored to generate a wide variety of programs that connected attorneys to new issues, covered controversial topics, and created content that was available to many, including non-attorneys. They organized and conducted 19 webinars, CLEs, and virtual lectures between October 21 and June 2022, nearly all of which incorporated some component of environmental justice. a topic that was important to the co-chairs personally and professionally. The awards committee was also impressed by the Environment and Energy Law section's ability to plan virtual content that continuously addressed matters of environmental justice and reached a broader audience of attorneys than the section had been able to do pre-pandemic. Where possible, the section collaborated with other sections of the Boston Bar Association and with outside organizations such as the Massachusetts Attorney General's Office, especially when the topic included issues that address communities with environmental justice concerns. The section's programs in 2021 to 2022 reached more than 800 attorneys, about 100 non-attorneys, and many, many law students. One notable three-part series focused on equity and access to energy and stood out both for the content that was shared, the accessibility of the information to both attorneys and non-attorneys, and for the knowledgeable, experienced, and diverse panelists who worked well together. But just to give you a sense of how broad these programs were, other programs included offshore wind permitting in Massachusetts, meet the new EPA regional administrator, Massachusetts solar power, meeting the challenges of the 2021 Climate Act amidst regulatory and siting concerns, the climate roadmap law, what you need to know, environmental justice is front of mind, federal and state agency actions, a town hall discussion with environmental justice work with Attorney General Maura Healey, and the City of Boston's Green New Deal. I am pleased to introduce co-chairs Stacy Rubin and Dana Tench, who will accept the award on behalf of the Boston Bar Association and make up to 5 minutes in remarks.
Thank you so very much. We are pleased to accept the 2022 American Bar Association SEER State or Local Bar Environment, Energy, and Resources Program of the Year Award. I am Stacy Rubin. I am the Vice President of Environmental Justice at Conservation Law Foundation in Boston.
And I'm Donna Tench. I'm the Director of Clean Energy and Climate Resilient Programs at the Department of Environmental Protection.
And Donna and I were thrilled to serve together as co-chairs of the Boston Bar Association Environmental and Energy Law section in 2021 and 2022.
Well, and you've heard a list of some of our programs. While there's no one initiative or program that we wanted to highlight above others, we are particularly proud of the ability to plan the virtual content that continuously address matters of environmental justice and reach a broad audience of attorneys. Moreover, the steering committee this year, or last year, was the most racially and ethnically diverse steering committee throughout the 15 years we've been active at the BBA. Our members met monthly and we had high participation and engagement. I want to share with you the committee co-chairs who participated last year. David Bragg, Devin Braun, Brian Clapier, Priya Gandaber, who I believe is with us today from CLF, Janine Graycheck, Krista Hawley, David Lyons, Nancy Kaplan, who has also joined us here today, and she's the former general counsel of the Department of Environmental Protection. Had to get that plug in there. Lauren Karam, Mike Knapp, Melissa Liatos, Bruce Walukala, Jamil Moore, Sophia Owen, Shane Settlesing, and Peter Viteri.
It was important to us as co-chairs that we all got to know each other, which was particularly challenging as the majority of our programming was virtual. We made time to check in with one another during meetings and to intentionally expand our networks.
And with all our programs, we recruited panelists that were racially, ethnically, and culturally diverse, and avoided, or certainly tried to avoid, all white and male panels. We hosted speakers who are community organizers, hazardous waste cleanup professionals, scientists, engineers, and of course, a variety of talented attorneys. I think you heard about some of the programs that we offered, and a few more were our solid waste and mass, where are we and what lies ahead, wetlands permitting 101, the Clean Water Act in practice implementation in Massachusetts under the Supreme Court's County of Maui decision, FERC update 2021 in review and what's to come in 2022, and speed networking with environmental and energy new lawyers.
We also held programming on climate change and brownfields, how attorneys should prepare. We talked about updates and insight on the Massachusetts investigation into the future of gas industry. We talked about access and equity in energy efficiency programs. And we also were looking at access and equity in terms of electrification and making sure we get heat pumps in as many places as possible. Donna and I are very proud of our sections 2021-22 programs, even before we learned about the ABA SEER award. Last year's program offerings were a culmination of prior year's work to put diversity and environmental justice as goals for our section. We are thrilled that the section members worked so hard and collaboratively to achieve those goals, and we look forward to continue making them a priority going forward. Thank you so much for this recognition, and thanks to the ABA.
Thank you.
Thank you, Donna and Stacy. And that concludes our awards. I want to thank everyone again and congratulate them on their accomplishments.